The summer heat is here. Here's what you need to do to stay healthy. When we get into one of these situations where it's hot out and it's hot for several days with the classic heat wave, you got to be really careful about certain groups. First of all, I always talk about it, the elderly. The elderly can get into all sorts of trouble. First of all, they don't regulate temperature as well as people that are younger than them to begin with. Secondly, they might be in situations at home where they're not in the best environment. They may be on a third floor or an apartment without good air conditioning. Those types of things can be a problem. And the third thing, which is really important, is if they get dehydrated and they're taking medications, the medications that they take can have a dramatic impact and can even have a disastrous impact because they don't process the medicines as quickly. They don't metabolize them as well. And as a result, things can build up in their bodies. The other thing that can happen is they can get confused. So somebody older who gets a lot of heat can get confused quicker. Then they might take the wrong medications or forget to take it. So the bottom line here is if you have elderly family or friends, look in on them, see if they're all right, especially because something you think that might not be a big deal could be a big deal for them. The other group I really worry about are the very young. Children, they can get dehydrated very fast, especially toddlers. So if you bring their children out, I mean, use common sense, realize that they actually don't process the temperatures as well either, and they can get dehydrated very fast. So it's a really important thing that you look at who's out there and what they're doing. And of course, take care of yourself because, you're the person who's watching out for other people, so don't overdo it. We're in a situation now, especially the summers seem to be getting hotter and hotter. And what might have been like every month or every 8 weeks, you might have some sort of heat wave in the summer. Now they happen more and more often. And as a result of that, we got to be more careful. And there's a lot of reasons for that. First of all, if you're just somebody who's going outside to exercise, try to think about what time of day you're going out. I mean, if you're going to play a tennis match, don't go out at 1 o'clock when it's 97 degrees. It just doesn't make sense. Go out in the early morning, go out in the early evening, take advantage of it being at least a little cooler. And also, the most important thing you can do is hydrate. You're going to go out and exercise when it's really hot. If you choose to do that, please hydrate and continue to hydrate. And the interesting thing about that is you have to drink a lot more than you think you do. So overdo it. And believe me, you won't regret it. The other thing is if you're going to go out and exercise in the heat, use common sense. This isn't the time that you want to set your record. It's not the time you want to go at it full force. You want to pace yourself. And honestly, with so many indoor places to go, you might want to take advantage of those types of locations. I know during the summer you want to get outside, but you got to be careful about that. So if you're going to exercise, use common sense, dress appropriately, drink plenty of fluids. And one last thing, make sure you have a hat on or something for the surface area of the head to kind of cover and block a little bit of that sun. That will also be helpful as well. Here's what happens in heat stroke. And we're talking about the body's temperature superheats. It gets to like 104. So assume the normal body temperature is 98, 99. It starts to get up. And it's almost like one of these feedback cycles. You're hot and it makes yourself hotter and hotter. And it can get out of control quickly. So what happens is you're not able to release that heat as easily as you want. The body's mechanisms to do that start to shut down and you're overwhelmed by the heat. Then what happens is the cells in the body react to the heat. So you're trying to do things like the body will try to protect the brain at all costs, but other parts of the body can start to shut down and very rapidly it can be a spiral and it can be a death spiral. The way you know something's happening is, if you're starting to feel like you feel chilled and you're outside in the heat, or if you notice that you're getting dizzier or somebody notices you're getting dizzy, listen to them and get out of there. Air quality is also an issue. A couple of years ago when there were the fires in Canada, first time I ever noticed, I was sitting on a screen porch and I was smelling smoke and I'm like, where's it coming from? And I realized, we're a small planet and things can happen and happen fast. But in addition to that, when the temperatures are up, the air quality can change. And if you're someone who has asthma, COPD, respiratory or heart issues, that's when you get really challenged. And that's why it's so important. Someone who's otherwise healthy might say, geez, it's a little tougher to breathe today. But somebody who has a health issue where maybe you already are on an inhaler of some sort, or you're being treated for one of these respiratory or cardiac conditions, it can really be a problem. And I think it's really important that you recognize that even when it's not necessarily that hot, we have poor air quality days, and we have to make sure we listen to it for when those things are reported. And what's great about it now is this information is pretty accessible. And I would take advantage of trying to know the environment you're walking into each day. Got a medical question? Email me at askdrbrian@kywnewsradio.com.